Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I wanted to film a video today, but I didn't really know what about, so I was like, I haven't done my makeup yet today. So I'm going to show you my basically everyday makeup routine, and I just want to be casual and just chat a little bit about life while I do it, and yeah, let's get into that. So first thing I did is I washed my face, because everyone says you should wash your face before putting makeup on. Personally, I do that like once a month, but okay, I wash my face and I put moisturizer on, and then I take my wet beauty blender. When I first got this, I didn't actually know that you were supposed to wet it, so I would just like use it on my face dry. So you wet it, that's a pro tip. Also, why is it impossible to clean beauty blenders? Like, I don't want to spend $30 on beauty blender cleaner, but like all of my soaps make it ratty and they don't take the makeup out. So if anyone knows how to clean your beauty blender without paying $30 that's for it, let me know. Okay, so I have my beauty blender. I have my Tarte Rainforest of the Sea concealer. I don't often use foundation because I tend to have pretty clear skin for the most part. So I usually just apply it to a few key areas, like under my eyes, and then in between my eyebrows, and my chin, and the corners of my nose. And then if I have any little spots, I'll do that as well. So I kind of just wanted to talk about self-isolation and my experience with self-isolation. So this is not the first time that I've had to be isolated from the rest of the world. It's definitely the longest that I've had to self-isolate before, but definitely not the most traumatic so far. So I feel like I've actually beaten this story to death. Anyone that knows me at all has heard my E. coli story probably about 20 times. And has heard me talk about how I've had E. coli for like the past 3 years straight. But anyway, so I was on a trip in 2016. This is the NARS. It's a mini blush bronzer duo, and it is the blush color Orgasm and the bronzer Laguna. Anyway, so I was on a trip in 2016 out by Vancouver Island in the Northern Discovery Islands. I was on a sailing trip, and I decided to be super funny and kiss a snail because the boys found a snail and they were two chickens. Someone told them to kiss it and they were being chickens, and I was like, I can do that. So I kissed the snail twice and it made a really good photo. Yeah, so that happened. We got home from the trip. 4 days later I decided that I wanted to go work at Camp Homewood, which was where we did the trip through. 4 days later I packed up everything and I went to Camp Homewood, and like at that point I just wasn't feeling great. It was about a week after this nail incident, and I like noticed that every time I would eat, I like just felt gross. And would have some stomach pain, which got worse every day during that week. But I was like, oh, it's whatever. Like, I've been eating a lot of junk food lately. Like, I don't handle gluten well, and I've been eating a lot of gluten. So I was like, oh, that's fine. It's probably just that. Okay, this is the Morphe Artistry palette, and it doesn't have names of the colors on it. And I don't know why, and that's the most frustrating thing to me because I have no idea what they're called, but here they are. They're beautiful. I'm not going to go into much detail about my eyeshadow routine because I change it every time and I don't really care. So anyway, I went to camp. I wasn't feeling good. I didn't really know anyone. Like, I'd met like 2 people that worked at camp on the trip. And then I knew one girl that I brought with me. So I brought her with me and we decided that we were going to work at camp for the summer. So like basically we only had each other. We didn't really know anyone there. And then I think it was like my second night at camp, I started to have severe stomach pain and like could hardly stand up straight by the end of the day. Like, I remember trying to sweep and like couldn't hold the broom. Like I was just like crippled over, like I couldn't stand up at all. I was in so much pain. So then I asked someone, I was like, can you call the nurse, because I don't think I'm okay. So then they called the nurse. I was having many more stomach issues at the time, and things were coming out that were not pretty. So she's like, oh, like it might be beaver fever. So she gave me some electrolytes, and I think she gave me like, I don't know, maybe some ibuprofen or something, I can't remember, to help with the pain. And then she's like, yeah, we'll just watch it, and like hopefully it doesn't get worse. So okay, I like took the electrolytes and like just went about my life for the next day or two, and then it started to get where my stomach problems were getting much worse, to the point where there was blood coming out of my rear end, which is never a good sign. There should never be blood coming out of your rear end. We went to the doctor first, and the doctor was like, you're fine. So we went to the hospital, and they didn't believe that I was sick either, and again was like, you're fine. So then they decided to take a stool sample from me, obviously. I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing. What is going on in my face right now? Holy. They decided to take a stool sample at the time, and then, yeah, my stool sample came back. They saw it, and just by looking at it knew that it wasn't good, so they brought me to the hospital. This is like, yeah, it's a whole thing. There was fluids, there was doctors, there was antibiotics, it's fine. But anyway, so we figured out that I had E. coli. So of course I was at camp, and like any sort of disease like that is like super contagious, so they still kept me by myself, like in my own room with my own bathroom. Yeah, just kind of like let me get better, which is really good. But then it got to the point where like I started to feel better, and after you feel that bad, when you feel just slightly better, you don't really realize that you're still really sick. So I just line the inner water line of my eye. I know that a lot of people actually are not able to do this, but I wear contacts and touch my eyes all the time. So I started to feel better, even though I still felt terrible, but I didn't realize that I still felt terrible. And then at that point I didn't realize that I wasn't allowed to leave my room. I thought that they were just like being really nice and taking care of me and giving me this special place to get better, which they were. But then when I found out that I wasn't actually allowed to leave because I was still sick, I just like, yeah, I didn't really know how to wrap my head around that. Like I was already in a strange place, surrounded by people that I don't know, and then really sick, and then I couldn't leave my room. So like, I don't know, it seemed a lot worse at the time. I remember there was like probably a good year and a half where I just like, yeah, there was some trauma, which was like nobody's fault. It just, everyone was really nice to me and took really good care of me, but just, I remember just feeling really stuck, and like, I'm the kind of person that like doesn't like to be trapped. Like Mike will hug me too tight and I'll like start to freak out. I'm like, okay, leave me alone, I'm fine, like just go away. So I don't like to be trapped. So there was like some trauma that way for a little while. Yeah, so this current situation is not my first self-isolation quarantine experience, and I was actually really scared. This is the Sephora Colorful Wink It Felt Liner in the waterproof black formula. Okay, now I just take a little angled type brush thing, and I just dip it in this little black eyeshadow here, and then I just kind of press it into the liner I just did. I don't know if it actually makes a difference, but 2013 Candy Johnson said it did, so that's what we're doing today. Okay, so as I was saying, when the whole coronavirus situation was starting to be on the rise in North America, I had just recently traveled to California. I was at Disneyland, and then it was only like 3 weeks later that California started having outbreaks and Disneyland actually shut down. So I started to freak out. I had a cough, like I'd had a cough for a few weeks, and that's when I called 811 HealthLink and asked them if I should be tested for coronavirus. So the nurse basically told me, she's like, yeah, we'll get you tested, like we'll get you get the process started or whatever, but stay home. You need to self-isolate, and like if your husband starts having symptoms, he needs to self-isolate too. So I was really scared leading up to the test, and then even after the test, it took a few days for the results to come back. I was scared that I would feel that same feeling like I did in 2016, 2017 of like being trapped, and yeah, just that the trauma would come back. But thankfully I was able to work through a lot of that trauma, and just like, it wasn't even trauma, I don't think, from being trapped. It's like any sort of gut disease is really bad for your mental health, and like that was traumatic already, being so sick, and then it was kind of just like all wrapped up in the same thing. So I think that's actually where it came from. But yeah, thankfully I was able to work through some of that, and yeah, this quarantine has not been as bad as I thought it was going to be. There's been hard moments for sure. Like, I love my husband more than anything in the entire world, but he already wasn't working leading up to the quarantine, so now we just spend way too much time together, because I'm not working anymore either, and we have a 1-bedroom apartment, so we basically spend every minute of every day together. And as much as I love and adore him, that's not really healthy for any relationship. I love being able to spend extra time with him, and I think that's part of it, is trying to just like stay positive and look for the silver linings in this situation. Like, it can be hard being so cramped together all the time and like not being able to leave our house. But this is the Anastasia Brow Definer 2-sided pencil, whatever, who cares, and not being able to leave our house, but yeah, trying to appreciate that like we do get all this time together, and there'll be a time in our lives where it's not going to be that way. Like, we may be both working full-time different hours, or someday we'll have kids and I'll be home with the kids and he may be working overtime to help support us all. Like, we never know. So I am trying to be grateful for the time that I have with him, for sure. But yeah, I feel like any sort of quarantine and self-isolation is hard on most people. Like, even someone like me, I don't get out much. Like, I like to hang out with a few friends, but other than that, like, I like to just stay home and like have a glass of wine and like watch TV and then go to bed. That's kind of just my thing. So like, even for people like me, it's really hard to not be able to go anywhere. This is the Too Faced Peach Mist Mattifying Setting Spray. Yeah, so for anyone not being able to go anywhere, like, obviously now that I got tested and I don't have coronavirus, like, I'm allowed to go to the store, and like I'll go to my in-laws every once in a while, and like Mike and I will go for walks. But I just believe that people are meant to have other people in their lives, so like not being able to go over to our friend's house and like have little parties and little like games nights and whatever is really hard, and like just feeling like you have no purpose in life. Like, it's already really hard on your mental health when you don't have a job. So neither of us are working right now, which, like, same thing, silver linings can be, that's not always an opportunity that people have, is to just take a break in life for a little while and just hang out and like not have to worry about going to work every single day. But yeah, so that can be really hard on your mental health, and you just start to feel useless after a while. Like, I can only clean my house so many times, like I can only cook 3 meals a day. Like, there's just like nothing for us to do anymore besides read books or play video games or whatever. So it's been hard, but it's been not as hard as I thought it was going to be, which I'm super grateful for. This is the Benefit High Beam Highlighter. So we just had a memory card moment, so we have a new memory card, we're good to go. Technology. So as I was saying, this is the Benefit High Beam highlighter, and my pro tip with these at Sephora is to never buy any of their liquid products in the full size. So like, whether it's this or the Benefit like Professional or their mascaras, I always use just their mini mascaras, especially for these because they dry out so fast. But if you look at the ounces, You can get 2 of them for less than the price of a full-size tube, and there's more in it. So, pro tip, there you go, guys. So usually I just take my little highlighter. This one's really old, so it's kind of crusty, but your girl's poor. So just dab, dab, dab the cheekbones. And I try and dab it into my skin really fast before it dries, or else it just leaves like really bright streaks on your face, and that's not cute. I'll do a little bit more in the T-zone, and then a little dab on the chin. Cute! And then I'm actually going to throw on a little bit more blush and contour. Usually I just touch up at the end. But anyway, so yeah, self-isolation is hard, and I think that everyone has very different circumstances. Like, I'm really glad that I don't have to worry about providing for kids at this time in my life, and like also being cooped up with kids in the house and like trying to figure out how to entertain them. But yeah, I think it's really important to still do your hair, do your makeup like I'm doing now. Like, some days I'll put on jeans, like not every day, and some days you just need a lazy day. Like, it's okay to just wear your sweatpants and like look like a slub around the house, like maybe a day or 2 a week, or like whatever, like that's fine. But yeah, I think it's important to still do something with yourself. It makes you feel like you have a little bit more purpose in life. You know, make your bed and try something new. Like, this is my second video, and like I am in love with it. Like, I'm having so much fun, and I got way more views on my last one than I would have ever expected, so that was like super exciting for me. But yeah, put your jeans on, stay happy, do your makeup, bake, run, do whatever. I don't know. Stay happy, stay healthy. Mental health is important, and it's one of the things, you know, everyone is focused on physical health right now, which is super important as well. Like, we want to make sure that our world is healthy and that we're not spreading germs around, but mental health is important, and take care of yourself in your quarantine and your self-isolation, and I love you all, and I'll see you next time.